Second step is to copy forward our structure to 25-26. And if we click this financial year from the menu on the left, that will take us into that financial year. We can see the date has updated to 25-26. The colour of the dot has also changed to red, just to signify that we're no longer in the current financial year. On the home screen, you'll be presented with this big red icon that says copy from previous year. And we can click on this to then choose the information that we want to copy forward. First, we have our descriptions. So those descriptions that have been allocated against prior payments and receipts, and we can tick the box to copy those forward. Next, we have our bank accounts. This is simply our bank account names. So we're not copying forward any balances at this stage. We can then tick the box to also bring forward our cost centres and cost codes. And you can also choose to include your 24-25 budget figures, as well as apply a percentage increase to those. That might be useful if some of your budget figures are staying fairly in line with 24-25, then you can just update those that need amending. However, you can choose to start your 25-26 budgets completely afresh, in which case you would just leave that box unticked. We can also choose to bring forward our forecasting types. If you have used the forecasting function within Scribe previously and you've set those forecasting types against different cost codes, then it will simply bring those forward and assist with the forecasting and the budget for 26-27. We can also copy forward any regular payment and receipt templates that we have set up, as well as our reserves. Similarly with the bank accounts, at this point it's just bringing forward our reserve names and no balances. You can also tick the box to include your quick views if you want to copy those forward as well. Once you're happy with all the boxes that you've ticked, simply click the copy button. A brief warning message will pop up. You can simply click OK to confirm. You'll then see the green message to say that the data has successfully copied. And if we go back to the home screen, we'll then see the data tiles, the charts, which will start to be populated from the 1st of April when we start adding our data. Just worth mentioning, under the Setup menu, you also have the option Copy from Previous Year, which will take you directly back to the screen that we've just seen. So if you have missed anything or you've decided to copy forward some items later on, you can come back in here and tick the options that you need to and click on Copy. Once we've copied forward our data, we can then look to add or update our budgets. And the quickest way to do this is via the budgeting menu on the left-hand side. And under here, it's the Quick Edit option. Quick Edit will list all of the cost codes that we've copied forward. And if you have copied forward your budgets, you'll see them appearing under your payment or receipt budget column. If you haven't copied forward any budgets, then you'll simply see zeros within each. So it's just a case of working your way through, popping in the annual payment budget for your expenditure cost codes, the annual receipt budget for your income cost codes, and then making sure that you click Save Changes at the top of the screen or at the very bottom. If you do have multiple pages that you're working across, please do make sure that you click Save Changes before moving on to the next page. It is also just worth mentioning that you can extend the records that you're viewing. So by default, you'll see 25 cost codes on the screen. You can extend this as you need to, which will allow you to update more cost codes in bulk. Again, once you've finished popping those budgets in, just making sure you've clicked Save Changes. Do make sure that when you are updating these budgets, you are in the 25-26 financial year. Of course, we don't want to be overriding anything from 24-25. Once you have added or updated your budgets, you can then run your summary report. That sits under your summary reports menu on the left, and it's the first one beneath this. So it's a good idea just to run this report and cast your eye over, make sure that you're happy with your structure and that all your budget figures for 25-26 have been entered correctly. Of course, you can make amendments to the structure if you need to. If, for example, you have new projects coming on in 25-26 and you need new cost codes and budgets for that, you can add them into this financial year. Similarly, if you have any cost codes that are no longer used, and they can be deleted from 25-26 as well. To make these amendments, simply head down to the Setup menu on the left-hand side and head into your Cost Codes menu. If you need to delete a cost code that is no longer used, simply click the three dots to the right-hand side and select the Delete option. If you need to add a new cost code, you can do so by clicking the plus button at the top. You can enter the name of the cost code, allocate it to the relevant cost centre and pop in the budget for 25-26, clicking the Add button to add it to your list. You can then go back to the summary report and re-review your structure, make sure that everything looks okay there. So it's absolutely fine to add in new cost codes, delete any redundant cost codes, but please do make sure that you aren't renaming cost codes to a completely different purpose. The year-on-year comparison reports within Scribe work on the cost code ID. So if, for example, in 24-25 I had cost code number 8, staff costs, but in 25-26 I renamed it to electricity, for example, that is going to skew the year-on-year reports. So you can rename cost codes for clarification purposes, but please don't change the purpose of a cost code. Instead, it's best to delete a cost code that's no longer needed and add a brand new one if you need to. So once you've reviewed your structure and you're happy with the budgets that have been entered, you'll be ready to start entering transactions from the 1st of April onwards.